Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is Scott Garber back in the seat for another exciting podcast, Profluence Podcast. And, guys, we are featuring so many innovators that are, building in the sports space as we continue to build out the central hub for sports. We're excited to go ahead and learn from the industry experts themselves. So today we have somebody doing some really interesting things on the hardware, software side of video capture, but it's not my story to tell. I'm excited to introduce my man, David Shapiro, President of Pixellot USA. Dave, my man, what is going on? How are we doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Scott. I've listened to the podcast a bunch, so excited to be on this side of it here.
No, it's really cool, man. And we're always humbled by the perspective that we're able to gain by having these conversations and then, distributing it out to the broader sports market. But Dave, I think it's so important to know the origin story of the human that is steering these ships and making these decisions that are impacting the sports space. So give the listeners a little insight to who Dave is and how you landed in this spot at Pixellot.
Yeah, so I'll give a little history. Sports has always been a big part of my life. I was a athlete growing up. Grew up in a real small town, so was able to play high school basketball, baseball, and football. Doesn't happen very often anymore, just as sports specialization has come into play. Then I went on to play college baseball at UC Davis, and then played 1 year overseas in Germany. And so loved playing sports and always thought growing up maybe I'd want to get into coaching or be a PE teacher. I had no idea. I just thought I wanted to be in sports in some way. And when I was in college, my older brother, actually, his first job out of college was with the Golden State Warriors. So that started opening my eyes to other opportunities outside of being a PE teacher or coach that you could work in sports. And so about midway through college, I started to, get internships, really look at how I could get into the space. And then my first real full-time job out of college was with Positive Coaching Alliance. Ended up being there for 12 years. Amazing organization with an amazing founder, Jim Thompson. Learned a ton from him. Did that for about 12 years. Then went on to lead Steel Sports, which we were owning and operating different sports businesses. The business got to a pretty large size. We were doing about $30 million in annual revenue. And then came over to Pixellot about a little over 6 years ago now. And it's been a fantastic ride here, ton of growth, and been really fun to be on the sports tech side of things.
So cool, man. And I think it's always interesting, how we stack our learned experiences, ultimately shape the perspective that, we bring to the venture that we're on right now. Go ahead real quick, just so we level set the playing field for everyone that's listening that doesn't or is not aware what Pixellot does. Where do you guys fit in the market? And what are you best known for? Give us a little background on the company, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we're the worldwide leader in automated sports production. And now, when most people hear the term automated sports production, they'd say, like, what is that? So it's essentially automating the production workflow. So instead of having multiple cameramen on a field or a court, producers in the truck, audio team, visual team, etc., we're doing all of that 100% with AI. So when you watch one of our games, it looks like a full production crew was there. But since we're automating it, we're able to do it at a fraction of the cost and therefore really democratize sports production. So we're not usually working at the NBA level or NFL level. This is a step down. So in Europe, we're working with the major federations and doing second, third, fourth level professional leagues. In the U.S., our biggest market has been high school sports. We're the main production partner for NFHS Network, if you're familiar with that. We produced last school year 1 million games in a 12-month period. Our technology is on about 1,000 high school fields and courts across the country. So a lot of growth in the high school marketplace in the U.S. for us.
How cool, man. And again, it's always neat to see as sports is getting commercialized younger and younger, all the different tools. I remember playing high school football and we had the guy with the tripod at the top of the bleachers filming it. And just, in short 15 years, how much that's changed is really quite remarkable. So talk to me a little bit, as you guys continue to go down this path, are we seeing, like, what are some of the trends are we seeing? Like, are we seeing most of these facilities get built-in cameras now? Is it all going to be automated? I know like AI is the buzzword of the industry right now. So, where do you see this space going? Not so much Pixellot, but more on the macro side of things.
Yeah, so I think video capture of high school, youth, college sports is already there. Like, everybody pretty much is now capturing their content, starting in T-ball all the way up through high school. Now, that wasn't the case 15 years ago. I mean, it's really changed, I'd say, in the last 5 years. And COVID, I think, accelerated the adoption of that because you needed video for college recruiting because college coaches for like 2 years were not able to travel to see athletes. And then it's just precipitated across the industry. So I think video capture, was the first frontier for us and many other companies. I think the future is different. Like the future is not how do we capture those games? Like that is going to happen.
Sure.
I think the future is more what you do with that content. So personalized content, being able to automate highlights, for example, so that you can just see every basket that your son or daughter scored or every base hit, the moments that really matter. In youth and high school sports, the 2 hour game isn't that interesting to that many people, but the 2 or 3 minute highlight clip is super interesting.
Now talk to me, right? So many of these cameras, they're mounted in different angles, and we see, in baseball, we have a Hawkeye, right? And like they're doing something very specific. Are you guys just doing video capture, or are we able to get deeper analytics from, the videos? Like, I mean, talk to us about the depth of this AI beyond maybe just like breaking down specific plays. I'm always curious, like what the technology is baked in there.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like the first step is how do we track the action and determine how you produce it from a media standpoint. But now we're starting to do a lot more next level stuff downstream. We're doing video analytics. So at the end of a game, a coach can be able to go in to our platform and be able to say, I want to see every 2 strike count that Scott had, or I want to see every screen that we set in basketball. I want to see every set play in soccer, and be able to sort the content that way. So we're doing that with AI. We're able to break down a lot of the game. And then we have tools that coaches and athletes can use to proliferate that content out. So being able to put shadows over themselves, to be able to draw lines on there for coaching, to be able to add audio to it. And I think right now, some of that stuff is manual, but you'll see AI start to get into that. So for example, once we have the data breakdown of a game, we can put that even into an open AI source like ChatGPT. And once ChatGPT reads the data, they can write up a press release that looks like it came from the New York Times, and you can have a release of that game. I think also audio, if you've got the data of the game, you can have an automated announcer. Now, those things are more cutting edge, just starting to get into the market. But I think if you look at the market 5 years from now, that's going to be mainstay. Everybody's going to have that as part of their automated production.
How interesting, man. Again, I'm just sitting over here shaking my head. Like I remember you get the VHS and you'd be circled in it and you thought that was the most high-tech thing back in the day. Now I'm going to take this down a path that I've always been curious about, right? So with you guys working internationally, right, and capturing all of this footage, there's different privacy and data laws around the world, right? And so I'm curious, with you guys being both a hardware and a software company, how have those evolved, like working over in Europe and then trying to work in youth sports over here? Are you watching, the privacy stuff get more strict, or is it pretty open in this space? Always curious how that works, as you guys being the third party capture of this content.
Yeah, there are a lot of laws behind it. And of course, we've got to abide by those, especially when you're capturing content for youth 18 and under. And so, those laws are changing. We have a legal team that's on top of it and make sure that we're doing everything by the book. A lot of this comes to like in the U.S. when you register for a sport, you have all these waivers that you sign. And so most of our partners are inserting language in that. So upfront, when you register for that team or that organization, there's a waiver that says we're going to be capturing the content.
Yeah, no, it's always interesting, especially as we commercialize the athletes going downstream more and more. It's, that video, that content it's king, right? So always curious just sort of what the relationships look like there as you guys continue to capture so much footage of sports across the world. Now, you mentioned that like this, the phase one is sort of done, right? The hardware is in place. We're capturing, Dave, let's put our business hats on here, right? How do we start to differentiate all the different hardware providers that are capturing footage in this space? Give us a little insight to what's on the roadmap with Pixellot. Where do you see your roadmap going to make a better user experience, but also, drive revenue for the business?
Yeah, so I'd say that's really the area that our product team and development team is 100% laser focused on right now, which is what we tag as VAS, value added services. So after you capture the content, what are additional services that we can offer to our partners and clients so that they can monetize that video that much better. And so a few of those things that we're working on, one example is automated highlights to be able to not only sell the live stream or the VOD of a game, but sell the personal highlights tied to it. The other is enhancing the production through tools. So for example, we're rolling out the yellow line, which you have in NFL games and really adds a lot when you're watching an American football game. We're adding automatic replays so we can detect the game state and tell, okay, they're in the huddle or they're in between innings in baseball or the coach is talking to the pitcher. We know that the game is not in an active state. And so then we can show a replay of the play before while that's happening. So those are just a couple examples of things that we're looking to add to make the broadcast that much better and help enable our partners to do more with the content.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Now, there's the core sports, and congrats with everything you guys are doing in the volleyball space. We're watching that just continue to explode, both domestically and around the world. A lot of opportunity there. But let's talk about some of these emerging sports, Dave, right? Some of the ones that we're not so used to capturing. Do you guys see that as an opportunity where it's spin off of, a traditional paddle sport or, a fling golf or, some of these ones that, we've never heard of before, but that are garnering real attention? Like, how do you guys think about the emerging landscape?
Yeah, I think the emerging sports is a big piece of this. Look, you think of why are those sports not as big? And a lot of that ties back to media, that there just hasn't been as much coverage of the sports, so not as many people know about it.
Yeah.
And so with what we're doing with democratizing the production of sports, I think it gives the opportunity for these emerging sports to grow that much more. So we right now have unique algorithms for 16 different sports. And so obviously the mainstay sports, you think of baseball, softball, soccer, football, basketball, volleyball, but also cricket, for example, and water polo, sports like that we're also covering.
How cool, man. Sidebar, man, cricket is just one of the most exciting things that is starting to, it's not just bubbling up. Like, I mean, it's happening. And like just the sheer volume, and demand for broadcast of what's going on in the cricket market. I'm really excited to follow what's going on in that market with you guys. Now, I'm going to keep just sort of popping around here. This is fun conversation. Health and wellness, Dave, has been one of the big things and topics that we talk about, in the sports space. And so I'm curious, with these advanced analytics and AI, like, are you guys able to pick up on trends of players and like measure anything of like, hey, their output is not the same as it was at the beginning of the game? Or like, how deep are we able to get to really understand the player that you guys are capturing?
Yeah, so we're not doing any of the health tracking, but we've partnered with some companies that are doing some of that. So, it's not something that's immediately on our radar, but people are able to use our video that we're producing to track some of that. And that, the tracking of video is really next level. I think you'll see a lot of the GPS device companies that have been out there for a long time. You're starting to see a closer line to what you can capture with video and not having to use those GPS devices. So one, that makes it more cost effective. Two, it's just easier when you don't have to put that chip on somebody and have them run around with it. Like you can track now, if you've got high quality video, the speed of players running at, how much distance they traveled in a game, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, the LiDAR technology, I mean, what we're able to capture, just from a phone is getting to a point that's incredible. Never mind these high def systems that you guys are installing there. And then, sort of staying in that vein, right? Like, I mean, you guys ingest so much and obviously there's an amazing output to it. But I'm curious, like, I mean, what's getting you guys excited as you're seeing all of these games played? And, are there any trends that are sticking out that you're able to pick up on just because of the nature of the business that you guys are in that you can share with what's going on in the sports world?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the sports landscape is changing a ton, and we're happy to be a part of it. With the amount of video that we're capturing, the more games we capture, the more data we can derive from it. So, I mean, look, I'm a big believer in participating in sports and what it can do for a person's life and trajectory going forward. You've seen it happen with many executives. If you look at I read a stat, the number of female C-level executives, like 92% of them played a college sport. And so, just believe in that. And I think video ties into the sports experience. The sports experience, right, can be impacted by having really good coaches, by having the right parents, that parent you the right way through it, having great facilities, having good people running events. And I think video is also a critical piece to making sure that you have that good sports experience.
It's literally, a teaching tool, an entertainment vehicle, and quite literally an ecosystem where it mirrors and parallels everything in life. And, we always talk about, it's great we have Otter and some of these tools now on Zoom, but like, I think I miss going back and watching game film. And it's like, where do you go to sharpen your skill sets that then you can bring back into real life? And sports continues to be that ecosystem that we lean back to. So this is amazing, man. As you reflect back on your time at PCA, I'm curious, like, how do coaches engage with this tool? And like, do you guys do anything and merge those two, worlds to try and create a train the trainer model where, coaches are providing not only the best insights to their kids and student athletes through game breakdown, but also, making them better humans? Like, how do you guys think about that through like the Pixellot lens?
Yeah, very good question. So, I spent 12 years working at PCA and then another 10 years on the board. So, was very engaged there. And the mission of, if you're not familiar with Positive Coaching Alliance, is better athletes, better people. So, how can you use sports to teach those important life lessons? And so, although I'm not working there anymore, I still try to see all the roles that I'm in, whether it's coaching my kids or my work life, through that similar lens from PCA. And, as I mentioned before, I really think that video um, has a direct impact on the experience that kids are having. You even see today now more kids are able to get recruited, and the recruiting landscape has opened up because there's video of games. It used to be only the kids that could travel to go to a showcase could be seen, or the ones who are at a very high level and at the elite tournaments that they'd be seeing. Now that you've got professional footage at all these games, it gives the opportunity for everybody to be seen, which I think is really important. And then, tying back to the coaching question that you asked there, when I was growing up and playing high school sports, there was no video of our games. And so you just had to learn through listening to your coaches. And I think we've seen the effect of coaches that are able to use video to teach that, and the level going down, right? In college football, it's been mainstay for a long time that you use video to coach, and also now high school football and youth football. I mean, it's getting into every other sport. And I think that you can just teach an athlete and help them develop as a player that much more when they can actually see what they did or what another player did. So
Yeah, and I mean, and we're gonna zoom out a little bit and where it's going. We saw Jaden from the Commanders, and there was a whole big thing around the AR and VR experience and how that's accelerating the game. And so it's really quite neat to watch, like, the hardware that's capturing video and where we're at right now. But I think things that might have been once an imagination now seem to be reality, where it's, we can start to mimic those instead of just, being two-dimensional. We're almost bringing them three-dimensional. Now we can participate with them. And it's an exciting but also a crazy time that we're living through right now. Between the AI, the virtual reality, sometimes I got to pinch myself just to make sure we're still human.
yeah, it's
So
been pretty interesting to see the trends at the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, et cetera, with how they're trying to create exciting content, right? They all want the younger demographic to be watching their sport. And so, for example, you probably saw in the NFL, they did like the Simpsons Monday Night Football. They've
sure
done
thing.
the Super Bowl last year. I think they did the Nickelodeon simulcast, where they got slime dumping on everybody when they score a touchdown. And so, look, I think that every business has to change to meet the end consumer that you want to reach. And you've seen the major leagues, the, three-letter groups, Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, really lean in there. And we're starting to think about some of that stuff too. I think the trends that you see at the pro level always start to funnel downstream. What you see in pro sports, you'll see in college, you'll see in high school, you'll see in youth. So, we pay attention to what they're doing and start to think about what we could implement to also engage fans better.
And that time lapse from, if it was happening at the pros, it was a decade before we saw it at the youth level. And now it almost feels like months before it's downstream, right? So everything's
Completely
moving
agree.
so quickly. It's very exciting, but I thought, I also think we have to move with one eye open, right? There's got to be some caution that we move with there. And, the 3D overlays in real time, I was so taken back. I mean, they're doing these within milliseconds of the real live stream data or footage, and creating these parallels. And those are people way smarter than me and you, Dave. But we get the
Yeah,
pretty faces to go sell it, right? That's what
that's
it's
right.
all about. All right, man. Well, listen, as we turn the corner, this has been super insightful into your world, who you are, what you're doing. if there is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with about what's on the horizon or exciting things that they should be on the lookout for, either from Pixellot or your world in general?
Yeah, I think that look, we're trying to innovate to reach the end consumer as much as we can. We started out with a fixed camera, which is similar to this one, which you fix in a venue like a high school football field. Then it's gone to this one behind me, which is a mobile camera, which you can put on a tripod, bring to any field you're moving to. And we're even starting to innovate, some with the iPhone, where you can be able to capture content there. So I think that, Pixellot and other companies in the space are constantly trying to evolve. From our business, we're really trying to also look at how we create partnerships and making sure that we've got the right structure that's going to help our business, but just as importantly, help our partners' business. Because at the end of the day, we aren't going to be successful if our partners aren't going to be successful. And so I think that's really where we've started to focus is, what are tools and resources that we can implement that are at the end of the day going to help our partners generate money. We're more of a B2B business than a B2C business. So we're working with companies that are then reaching the end consumer, but we have to keep our eye on the ball of what the consumer wants, because that's who our partner is trying to reach. So I'd say that's just kind of the overall mindset of the business and where we're at today. It's been a ton of fun to be part of this. 6 years ago, we were producing about 5,000 games a year. Now we're producing 2 million plus games a year. And so I think that the impact we're having is there, and the impact going forward into the future is going to be that much greater. I think the horizon is very bright for us and other companies in the marketplace.
Yeah, well said, man. And I think I'm going to highlight real quick the partnership side of this, right? I mean, as we move into this era of sports, especially at Profluence, as we build this central hub, like collaboration and access to the right people that have aligned interest in pushing the sport forward while also creating a really prosperous and thriving business. And having that alignment, I think, is key to making sure that consumer on the end gets the right product that that'll keep them coming back over and over again. So we completely subscribe to that mentality, and the work that you guys are doing is helping shape the space, to be one that my kids are going to participate in, that we can all be, happy and proud of. Dave, if someone's listening to this, they want to get in touch with you, they want to learn more about Pixellot, where should we point them?
Yeah, our website's probably the best place. Pixellot, Pixellot.tv, and you can see different demos that we've done there, and everything about our business on the website.
Amazing, man. Well, listen, from Profluence, we thank you for being you. More importantly, the work that you're doing and wisdom you're imparting to the sports community. And, guys, shameless plug. If you guys like this conversation, Dave's a part of our community along with 650 other innovators, builders, founders in the sports space. Would love for you guys to join so that collectively we can go ahead and push sports together in the right direction. David, man, we're so excited to continue to build alongside of you. And until next time, everybody, keep on keeping on. Talk soon.
Thanks, Scott.